guys. I know you're hearing a voice like, who's that? It's Anna. I know you missed me and missed us actually in general. I've got several messages being like, when are you guys gonna drop your next message? It's been like your next episode. It's been like, okay, we're here now. Okay. This is episode 52. Second Nature is back.
Back and better.
I'm back. Hopefully.
You sound like a party promoter that has like a bunch of adverts. You're like, this person has a jollof business, puff business. If you want to send money via money transfer, get to this woman.
Yeah, girls get in for free before 11 p.m. You know what I'm saying?
Which girl is outside the club at 11 p.m.? Don't bother.
Sorry, what time do you guys get in?
I don't get in anywhere that the Lord has not
To
ordained.
evangelize.
That's not my ministry.
That's a word. Like,
Ministry in the dark. That's not my.
And on the topic of evangelism,
come on, let's talk about it.
Segue.
Oh, we started. Mad. Okay, let's see this. Let's see this.
Yeah, go on. You said on the topic of evangelism, you can't just like say it. And
On the topic of evangelism, today's episode is actually speaking on it. We're speaking on the Great Commission and what that actually means. And how do you call them? Armchair critics, aka Christian Twitter.
Okay, good. I just have to make sure that I wasn't being targeted. I'm just there to like, retweet, not to post, not to criticize. Yeah.
Yeah. Wow. He wants to explain. Should I?
Yeah, you can go ahead and explain.
Okay. So obviously, unfortunately, there's been that whole. It's still going on. I don't say talking in past tense, but there's that whole war going on between Ukraine, Russia, and Europe, and just everything in general. That
you make it sound like it's just something that's just over there. Like, you know, like in the other room, there's something going on, but I'm not involved, so I don't know.
Yeah, we're all very much involved because.
But we are all very much
involved
because our countries like to stick their noses into other people's business.
Whose country? I'm not from this country.
Jesus is my master. I belong to a different kingdom, beloved. Because who's we?
The countries we hold passports for, some of us anyway.
I'm finished.
Can I just say, like, the whole testimony segment at church, you're literally acting all of those, because there's never a time where someone's not saying, I've got my papers, but you've seen them in this church for the past 28 years. And it's like, how are you just becoming a legitimate citizen? So please, let's not at them. Each person's cross is different.
The countries we currently dwell in and abide under the laws of, yes, like to stick their nose in other people's business. So we're all involved. But anyways, I don't know how active you guys are on social media and how embedded you are in Christian Twitter and Christian Instagram, but a lot.
Oh, there's a Christian Instagram.
Wow,
I think I joined today.
People like share the same kind of things and like.
Right, okay.
You know what I mean?
I just knew about Christian Twitter. Wow,
it's like a community there.
No, I was scrolling on Instagram, and obviously when I see certain posts, I instantly go like, not interested. So like Instagram doesn't recommend it to me again. It could be from someone talking to anything, but I don't know why. But I was like flipping through like the Instagram reels, and I was getting like about like 15 reels in a row, all about Jesus, and about like. You know, when you read Revelations and you're like, ha, 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 you know, like, this is not about me. I'm going to go to heaven. I know you're talking to me. Like, just generic, like, Christians trying to be funny on the internet kind of thing. Yeah. And it's quite wholesome, you know. I mean, it's not Black Christian Twitter. I think we should probably specify. But it's just like wholesome, ripped jeans to church, NIV, NLT kind of Christian Twitter. And
what, message translation as well? Or?
A message? I mean, not Twitter, Instagram. No, message, TPT. That should not be your only translation. I don't know if we need to say it, but please.
Passion translation Twitter.
Yeah, even GN. You see GNB. Yeah, those can't be your only translations, please.
Okay. Please. Well, so quite a few ambassadors, I want to say, from those ends of Twitter have made their way to the front lines of Ukraine, helping out refugees and preaching the gospel to them, in this like tough time that they are going through, giving them light, giving them hope, giving them freedom in Jesus Christ.
Amen.
Amen.
Yeah, that's right. But unfortunately, this has been met with a lot of criticism and bad vibes. It's been met with a lot of bad vibes.
Can I ask, who are you guys following? Because I've not seen any such thing.
Wow.
Oh, Aramide, if I was to even send you what was going on,
are you serious?
You would just be upset.
Sorry, is this coming from Christians or unbelievers?
Oh yeah, let me finish. 90% of the people projecting bad vibes
you can't distinguish. You can't distinguish what it is.
Honestly, I've said it before and I'm going to say it again. When I've heard that Christians were making burner accounts to say their true thoughts, that's when I said social media is not for you. That's an idol. You need to repent, deactivate. Stop it. Put on your phone. Stop it. Because how can you be hating on other Christians sharing the gospel? Are we not all meant to do that?
Yeah, well, there seems to be some sort of consensus that you share the gospel now just on social media. You don't really physically go out and do it, and you definitely don't go to war zones and share the gospel.
That's so elitist.
Not the people that actually need it.
Yeah.
And then there was a lot of comments like, oh, Ukraine is 80% Christian anyway. They don't need you to go there and preach the gospel. It's like, well, England's supposed to be a Christian country and that's not going well for us, is it? So
rappers are talking about banging church. White people, brown people, everyone. No.
You mean witchcraft?
Yeah, sorry, witchcraft. But that's actually so elitist, the idea that you should only be sharing the gospel via social media because you're in your own silo. What tells you that every person on social media, like most people aren't actually on social media if you deep, especially of like a particular age. I mean, they might be on social media, but it's not going past Instagram and LinkedIn and maybe Facebook.
Yeah, I mean, my thing is, it feels like a lot of the people that are talking maybe haven't done enough like evangelism in person, because growing up, I did like a lot of evangelism in person with my church. So like you'd be in the city center, maybe you're trying to hide from a school friend that you'd seen, but we're doing this for Jesus Christ. Because at the time you're thinking, this isn't cool. What am I doing here? But and when you do it several times, when you hear someone is going to evangelize in another country, a war-torn country, even an impoverished country, you don't bat an eyelid. You think, you know what, that's amazing. And I wish that God gives me the faith to do so as well. That's if you genuinely believe in the Great Commission. And then there's other people that are very against it, which is, to me, I don't get it, because you're not paying for this person's ticket. You're not even paying for their flights. I'm seeing people say that they wish that person dies on the battlefield.
On the battlefield.
So I'm reading. So Jury just sent me a tweet of someone who is currently at the borders. And what I'm reading is genuinely shocking.
Yeah.
No, as in shocking. Because these people, they're just doing keyboard warriors. Like, if your internet provider decides to shut down your Wi-Fi, your opinion isn't valid anymore because you can't tweet it. So how is it that you have so much to say from the comfort of your bedroom than actually someone who's going out to try and make a difference and to bring a message of hope? Like, if you deep everything that's happening around the world, because this is not the only war that's going on, because I don't know why Western media are all in uproar as if this is the only war going on. I was like, give equal coverage. Actually do your due diligence and actually give proper coverage, because if you know the true horrors that's happening all over the world, it's actually going to crush the human soul. Like, it would actually crush you, because you're going to think, where is hope? Where is good news? Where is anything that can save you or give you hope? And that's literally what the gospel does, right? So why not go and actually share the gospel with the people that are hurting? Obviously, you don't have to go to the borders for you to make a difference. You can see the people hurting your communities right now and share the gospel to them. But these people clearly aren't doing any. All they're doing is saying what's coming out of their neck for likes and retweets. And you think, what impact are you making? What impact are you making? Seriously, what impact are you making? Whose life are you going to change? Someone's gonna like your tweet and go away. What impact are you trying to establish on this earth? Oh, yeah. God, have mercy on us.
It's bringing me back to the days of like when I first came to Christianity in uni, and obviously everyone was on fire, so everyone just did the most, as people would say. But on the outside looking in, people would say, "Oh, they're doing a lot. They're just being extra. They're doing it for attention." But when you have a genuine love for God, and the love of God is within you, there is just so much that you're willing to do, that you're going to do, that doesn't really cater to the opinions of people or what men, women think, or if you identify as anything else, what they think. Like, it literally doesn't matter. So going to a war-torn country and spreading the gospel is a beautiful thing, because if you think about all the apostles in the New Testament, they were going to areas that were wanting to kill them.
Yeah,
like they were actively looking. There's an AP out for them, man. There, we're coming. If we touch on our block, it's over. It's on sight. If we see you, we're putting you on the cross. We're stoning you. The lot, but they still went. They could have gone, you know what? I'll just write these epistles and then just send it through by a donkey or a dove or raven, whatever they did back then, and just chill. You know. Just chill.
Can I say something? I feel like we have a generation that is content with analyzing things and being intellectual, but not actually applying that knowledge towards anything. Because a lot of people, when stuff is happening all over the world, people are writing think pieces, people are sharing their opinions, people are being wrong and strong, people are saying, you know, this is the right way. If you know, you're clearly the opposing side, you know, you're against, if you're not for us, you're against us. But all of this stuff is actually virtual. It's actually virtual. Like all the think pieces you write and stuff, in 2 days' time, when it's at the bottom of the timeline, no one's seeing that.
Yeah.
And so when things are happening,
unless you retweet and then it comes back to the top.
Exactly. But or you go back to people's old tweets and dig them back up and we see you. God bless. But when things are happening all over the world, you know, when you see a homeless person on your road, or there's a mother in your church who was struggling to pay the bills, especially during a time like this, you know, those are the same Christians that will say stuff like, I'll pray for you, and do nothing. Like, people are so used to just doing nothing when stuff is happening. So the idea of someone actually trying to make a change, make an impact, is actually so right. Oh gosh, my hands look so dry. Is absolutely
the hands of a hardworking person.
No, I'm going to lotion this. Is absolutely radical, because we live in a world where a lot of us feel really helpless. Like, you feel like, honestly, I can't lie to you, if Boris Johnson says, we are going to send our troops to Ukraine, or we want all the men under the age, or like, if he says we're going to, I don't know, send our troops to Ukraine, a lot of us will be like, oh, good luck to them. But we're going to go to work. You're going to go to shops. You're going to go to church. You're going to play FIFA with your friends. As long as there's still food on the table and you've not lost your job and there's Wi-Fi, you're going to be absolutely fine. And a lot of us don't really pick up our acts and like, actually, I want to make a change. I mean, aside from the people that are going there to, you know, who've left their families and homes just to go and fight, where it doesn't really seem like they actually have a reason aside from just wanting to shoot a gun. I'm not talking about those people. But in terms of like, but in terms of like actually doing something that can influence good change, positive change, impactful change, that bone is missing in so many people. But obviously they can write think pieces and tell everyone what they think, and you know.
Well, yeah, you know, that's why it's a good phrase what Anna said, that it's armchair Christians. It reminds me of something that I think I read in an OGGM article that talked about not being a referee, but actually getting in the game and playing, because everyone wants to be on the sidelines just watching, and they want to commentate, they want to say stuff and judging, and it's just like, well, what are you doing? And when you ask someone what are they doing, they normally like fluster and they normally get defensive and annoyed.
I'm working on myself. Yeah. I'm growing. I'm investing. Okay, I'm setting a legacy. That's what I'm doing.
Yeah. And especially during this time in Ukraine where they're being invaded by Russia, it's they might take us down for saying that. They're being invaded by Russia. It's a good time to spread hope, because there are buildings are blown to pieces. The hospitals, nurseries, theaters, all being wiped out. And at the end of the day, all they have left is each other, because everything that they knew about their lives that they lived is now gone. So why wouldn't you want to spread hope and good news to those who have lost hope in the first place? But it's also making me think, Mr. Putin is using the Bible to justify what he's doing.
Is he?
Yeah. So there's a video.
Do you want to talk about Putin?
Sorry, there's a leader in a certain country.
Lord Voldemort. Yeah.
The one that can't be mentioned. I think what was the verse that he used? I think it's in Romans.
The kingdom
Romans
of
13. And I think he talks about. He says, "What's more noble than to lay one's life down for a friend?" Yeah, I know he's using it to recruit.
He's out of pocket.
Yeah, he's using it to recruit for people to go back into Ukraine and fight for him. It's so crazy because he was saying this on a platform stage at a rally, and people are like, yeah, go.
Yeah, but that's because Rome, the Roman Catholic Church has a huge presence in Russia, so maybe and also I've been reading about how there's been a lot of media censorship in the country itself. So a lot of people within the country think they're actually saving Ukraine because the media censorship is so intense, where even on state media, it's not being talked about like an invasion. And they actually, and it's so sick because you could be I don't know, gunning for a leader, not knowing what the actual leader is doing because they control the state media.
Yeah, I think there's a new law that says if you say anything about the war, that they can lock you up and throw away the key for 20 years. That's crazy. That is for telling the truth. This is like Apostle Paul just chilling in prison.
Literally.
The New Testament.
It's crazy though, because this whole war, I feel like it's kind of pointless. Like you have Europe trying to talk about how European Ukraine is, and Russia talking about how Russian or Eastern Ukraine is, and it's neither. It's very much.
And I just say the racists have really showed themselves though. The ones talking about the bombs they're dropping, these are the kind of bombs that we dropped this in Afghanistan, but they've been dropped in Ukraine, and I'm oh, these people are like us. They have Netflix. And I was like, you don't think the people in Yemen have their own streaming services?
Literally.
Or in Syria, in Afghanistan? You don't think they have all of these? It's this their mentality. And it really showed, people really showed themselves because they were like, but they're white. They're white.
Yeah. But Ukraine as a country is probably closer to Ghana. It's got the same kind of buses. It's got the same kind of infrastructure. The economy is more or less the same. You know what I mean? It's closer to a Western African country than any kind of European country there is. It's people trying to claim Ukraine, and I put an identity on it that isn't actually itself. Let's just leave Ukraine alone. Just leave it alone.
It's sad because obviously this invasion is all about geopolitical war. Because at the start, people was like, it's all about ego, Putin's ego. He wants the USSR back. But because we live in the West, and whatever the West feed us on information, it makes it look like Putin is doing this just to claim land. But the West is culpable in this, and it's the reason why he's moving now. And it lets us, it reminded me of all the sorts of misinformation that we even get in Christianity, where people believe the craziest of things just because of who the source is coming from. Even if they have a manual, the Bible, where they could actually read. Which reminds me, Sun Chun-ji, stop what you're doing, okay? Stop messaging people.
Do you know how many times it slid in my DMs?
Stop DMing people because
New
you
Life,
DM
New
me
Heaven,
multiple times.
Block. NWN, whatever, block. Any random person that's asking you to come to the Bible study, block. No, go to your church. Go to your church.
Go to the local church.
So what church is this affiliated with? No answer.
No, I actually asked someone and they were like, I was like, are you aware that this is part of Shi Changji and they're a cult? And the woman was like, God bless you. And then she just left the chat.
Yeah, they really seem to do it. And I might as well just say that they seem to be targeting, they go through people's churches' Instagrams and they go through their Instagram followers, and that's how they message people. And they seem to be doing it really more frequently. At the start of the pandemic, they were obviously operating in a covert sort of manner. But now they seem to have really ramped up and tried to be public about it and not really hide.
And they get people that look like you to message you.
Yes, they do.
I was going to say, can
I
just say their social media team? I mean, this is like American
some power with
mega church type of like social media strategy.
Yeah, Elevation Church has got nothing on these guys.
I'm telling you now, they're getting people that look like you. They're looking at your bio. God forbid you said Jesus is king. They'll be like, I see that you really love the Lord. They're moving to people on LinkedIn.
But what they do as well is they look at your post and they said, oh, I see that you do this. And you're like, I'm thinking, so you actually study people. And then that's how you try to, I said, this is scary stuff. Scary stuff. But yeah, that was telling me that we're just living in a world or a time of misinformation, where things are actually gray, but well, they're black and white, but you know, people try to model them up into making them look gray. And I don't even want to say, I don't even really talk about the Ukrainian people.
You know what, let's pause that, because all we can actually do as Christians is pray for them. And pray that the people who are actually at the borders, that the Lord will strengthen them to do the good work. And you can also pray that the Lord will, not even that, like we would actually try and make changes in our environment, because so many things are happening in all of our individual towns and cities. And sometimes we get so used to like people suffering and people needing help that we just like, oh, the next person will look after them. The next person will stop and speak to them. The next person will do this. Like, when was the last time you prayed for your city? When was the last time you prayed for your leader? You might not like them, but like that they'll make changes that would be for the good of the people. I'm looking at you, Vice Chancellor, or whichever one is the one that's making all the bills go up.
The one that's a millionaire himself and is married to the daughter of a billionaire.
Please do what's right. But like, how often do we actually like pray for our leaders and pray that change will come, and also try our best? Because it's so easy to look online and be like, oh, why are you traveling and spreading the gospel? Why can't you do it closer to home? Are you? Are you? When your colleagues are asking you why you're hiding during your break room because you don't want to tell your colleagues that you're fasting because you're Christian. I'm telling you, stop. Okay, it's the same person that your colleague are calling you Tayo when your name is Tayo. They're calling you Lex when your name is Liquor. Like, you also need to stand up and be bold in the spaces that you're in. It's not every day just discouraging people from doing what the Lord has told them to do.
That's funny.
Now, I don't know whether you want to move on to the Vice Chancellor or you want to move on to the spitting gate.
Yeah, so we can talk about the Vice Chancellor at another time, because honestly, regardless of what he does, all I know is I went to Aldi yesterday and the price of sweet chili sauce has gone from 45p to 75p. It's still the same bottle. They've not added more. Yep, they've not added more. The low sugar one, imagine sweet chili sauce, low fat. It's not the same price. I'm like, when you removed the fat, what did you add in replacement? Why did you not reduce the price? I'm telling you now, my rent is going up. What isn't going up? My wage.
I'll pay.
Right. Well, not yet. But yeah, so we can talk about him at another time. But I feel like I need to pray fervently before I can talk kindly and in an honorable way, because the Lord is still helping me on that front. He's still helping me.
Yeah. I don't have anything good to say, so maybe I should just not say it, to be honest. All I know is that gas prices are really high, energy, electricity is really high. Even doing this recording is costly. I dread to see the bill at the end of the month.
Just know that after this recording, Jerry's going to shut off that light, unplug everything and sit in the dark.
We're just sitting here. Use your torch.
Honestly, get some lanterns, a bit of kerosene. Come on.
This isn't Nigeria.
Just so you can't get your hands on some jet fuel. You don't know people.
Where they shut off your electricity. Maybe that's what they need to do here. Just shut off the electricity.
Yeah,
up NEPA, down NEPA. Only have the electricity on during 9 and 5. Like, it is okay.
And say that Boris took it. Boris took the electricity.
Boris up, Boris down.
Like he's been taking the mick with these parties. Yeah. He thinks he's got away with it. He has technically because there's a war, but still.
He really has.
Yeah. He was partying during lockdown. Here we are.
At every conceivable moment, he was partying. This guy went on more parties than I have been to from like age 16. I said, in the space of lockdown, you really enjoyed yourself.
Did you see him dancing with that auntie?
Was that a real video?
He gave her a bit of a little wine. Yeah.
That was a black woman as well, isn't it?
Sorry?
That was a black woman as well that it was.
I said auntie. That should tell you everything you needed to know. She's not Nigerian. But I don't know why, but she was backing into him. And I said,
rock it up.
I said, please. And are you okay? I said, auntie, please respect yourself. Like, so many parties, wines. Did you not see them, the interns taking a suitcase of like bottles of wine from like Co-op or something?
Yeah.
And I'm like,
I'm walking through the front door of number 10 saying, just nothing suspicious.
Through the front door. Do you know how brazen that is?
That's wild.
They love the lifestyle, you know. They're going to tell you that because they were working hard, which also reminds me, MP are getting a 2%. Is it a 2% increase?
Pay rise.
They're
kidding me.
Because they were working hard, you know, they needed to have time to wind down.
Because they can't do their second jobs anymore.
And the rest of us will just be twiddling our thumbs. Interesting.
Yeah, which is making me ask again, you know, Christians in politics, is that a thing that we can...
You guys need to arise and shine.
No, they're collecting that money too. And the worst part is they're not paying tax.
Arise and shine.
They're not paying taxes. That might be the way to go.
Honestly, I'm convinced because Christians in politics, I feel like you need to hide yourself when you're in politics. I mean, I'm aware of a few Christian members of parliament. That man that was caught sleeping that one time, Rees-Mogg.
Oh, Jacob Rees-Mogg.
He's Christian. Does he represent us?
Yeah,
no.
He is Christian. Yeah. I mean, obviously Christians come in all different shapes and sizes.
But one thing we can all agree on is
that Jesus is king.
And you shouldn't
pay taxes.
No, you shouldn't. You shouldn't collect saliva. And rub it on
and rub it on people's eyes, right? Okay.
Oh.
No, not the adlibs.
Yeah, I mean, everyone's favorite preacher. I know it's Anna's favorite preacher. She always goes on about.
She has the notifications of the YouTube channel on, so she gets the notifications every time we post a video.
Yeah.
She types "Amen." Yes, preacher, preacher, on his Instagram.
Yeah, she posts them on her story.
I've actually never watched any of his sermons ever. Like even that whole relationship series.
You know what? I feel like I should watch it because everyone keeps saying that it's so good though.
Yeah, but it was like by the time I heard about it, it was on episode like 20, and I was like, "There's no
20."
way.
I think
it was long.
I think I watched 10 of the sermons, and they were good. At the start, when I was at the start of my relationship.
I'm sorry.
I don't listen to it now because
for better or for worse, you're married.
Yeah.
You know, like, I didn't ask her actually if she. No, it's too late. Deal with it now.
Yeah. So, Anna, do you want to explain what your favorite preacher did?
Tell us.
No, not exactly.
Sure?
Michael Todd.
Not his full name.
Not his full name, because what he did was horrendous. And you know what it is? If you haven't, I don't even know how to speak about it, God. Some don't know about that little miracle God Jesus did, you know, when he got a little bit of saliva, mixed it with a little bit of dust or clay from the ground and healed a blind man by putting that mixture on his eyes. He basically made a face mask if we're like talking. Yeah, it was a face mask.
What?
Yeah, anyways.
Clay, yeah. COVID.
Clay, yeah.
Are you talking about Mike Todd now or Jesus?
No, I'm giving
They're not
context.
one and the same around the day.
Oh, sorry.
No.
I was giving context. So in a sermon that Michael Todd did in February, was it February? Something like that. He decided to demonstrate this said miracle. And he demonstrated said miracle by actually spitting saliva into his hand.
Well, it was more phlegm.
He brought up phlegm from his liver.
He brought up phlegm. He went
from his liver, from his kidney,
he said
esophagus.
For my lungs,
he did it multiple times. Like he phlegmed multiple times.
He was trying to do water bending, innit?
And then he brought up someone from the crowd or his team or whatever, and he rubbed it on.
It was his brother.
It doesn't matter. Okay.
My thing was, he wasn't even doing, if let's say, for example, like genuinely, heart of hearts, if the Lord clearly, and it has to be clear, clearly said Aramide, go into Jerry's face and rub saliva in his eyes, right?
Never.
And if the Lord actually said that to me and there was the audible voice of God, I would do it.
And then when you get a quick
that one is fine. That one is fine. The Lord will heal me. Or the Lord will just transport me elsewhere. But my thing was, because people are like, well, Jesus did it. He wasn't doing it for the purposes of performing a miracle.
Well, Jesus, you don't see anyone trying that. I don't understand, like saying, well, Jesus.
No, as in he was only doing it to demonstrate a point, to say that sometimes vision is dirty, like your vision gets messy. Like if God gives you a vision, like something to do, sometimes the actual roads to get into the destination, which is what I believe you're saying, isn't always clean and clear cut. Basically, that's what he's saying. So he wasn't doing it to perform a miracle. He was simply doing it to demonstrate. You don't need
deal with it.
You don't need to do that type of demonstration. And I was speaking to one of my friends and she was like, actually, the message would have been better if he got someone to rub spit on his face. Because that's more humble.
That is servanthood.
Pastor Jure isn't convinced.
But that would ruin his drip. So
yeah.
Because in the middle of COVID, being a leader means being the lowest. That's what Jesus always says. He says the lowest of you all. Jesus washed his disciples' feet. So if you're going to demonstrate something like that, you should be the lowest on stage as the leader.
Exactly. Rubbing saliva during COVID isn't going to hack it. It reminds me of when Kenneth Copeland was coughing into that camera, blowing COVID away. But COVID stayed, and COVID stayed for 2 years.
When he was doing his crazy laugh, yeah.
And the angels from Africa.
The angels from Africa they have their hands full. There's corruption, there's war, there's famine, there's poverty, there's disease. We have our hands full. Okay, they're just trying to build roads. Okay, they're trying to build roads. They're trying to lay brick. They're not trying to collect your COVID. What do you call upon the angels in Spain? The angels in Great Britain. The angels in Sweden.
I don't know if Great Britain has any, but okay. I was gonna say that like all these like leaders that we're talking about, because I was having a chat with my coworker today who's Christian. Because we were talking about, well, let me say this first before I say what we were talking about. That pastors are really becoming like idol figures for a lot of people in Christianity. And I was asking my coworker, if someone wants to say something about your pastor, I wasn't saying it directly to him, but I was saying if someone was to say something about your pastor, some people would defend them really, really strongly. But if someone wants to say something about Jesus, they'll be like, oh, well, you know, and be like, but that's Jesus that you're talking about. Yeah, that's your opinion. But when it's your pastor, it's we must go to war right now. We must battle or fight. You can't talk about the man of God or women of God, if you believe women can be pastors, like this. Ha, hey, ha. But that brought us to the Hillsong guy. What's his name? Brian something.
So the Hillsong guys, because this is not the first
Oh.
Hillsong man that's being caught out for doing something he's not meant to have been doing.
Let's talk about it.
Yeah, because we were saying, because it came up on our phones. Well, to be fair, my coworker reads is it Premier Radio, their website, and he was saying that this isn't the first time that something like this has happened in Hillsong, and I was like, yeah, I know, but our question was, at what point do they actually step away? Because it seems like a lot of the prominent leaders that we have around us have some sort of scandal towards them, even in death, with Ravi Zacharias. Yeah, like at what point do Christian leaders realize that, you know, if my own faults is going to hamper essentially what I've built, do I step away?
No, because power does something to men. Power absolutely
as in
does.
Males or?
Okay, people in leadership. Power absolutely does something to people in leadership, because if you think about what you just said before, because people like to leave God open for interpretation and God open for criticisms, but when it's their pastor, is you can't say anything against the Lord's anointed. And if you know that you have a serious backing and you know that you have a church that's growing, often, and if you start now using that power or to do things that are wrong, or or you're just dabbling in like sin that disqualifies, it's ego that's keeping you then, not God, because you're thinking about, oh yeah, this is what I've built, this is my legacy, I own this church, all of these people come to my church. If I clip my fingers, 500 people are not going to take home a wage this month. Like that kind of power, it's no longer about what are we building for God, but it's more about what have I built for myself. And I think that's what keeps them going, because you can't, because it's too,
for God.
Yeah, and it's sorry, but it's a pattern. You saw Ravi Zacharias, Carl Lentz, this one, is it Mason? No, that's the footballer. Which one's the that's even a different story.
That's another guy. That's
the new pastor. Obviously, you hear of rife stories of sexual abuse in Roman Catholic Church, so Catholic churches in general. Like you can't convince, like it's too clear that there's a different power here at play. It's too clear that ego, selfishness, self-centeredness, me, gets in the way. And this is clearly what happens. I honestly don't know why it surprises us anymore.
What would you say to the counter argument that in the Bible, God used people that weren't perfect either?
So does that mean that all of us shall now be doing some rubbish? No, I'm sorry. Yeah. And you know what God did? He purified them, right? And those people loved God. So they actually had a heart that strived for change. If you know that you've done wrong as a pastor, you get called out for it. And instead of you admitting that you've done something wrong, you don't, but you then pay people off. You long things out through trials that last years, that break down this the victim's self-esteem and utilize church funds to pay for lawyers. That's not you being repentant. No, because if someone was caught in an act that is disqualifying, they will say what they've done and they'll remove themselves, whether it's for a period of time or forever. But that's not what we're seeing. That's not what we're seeing at all. And that tells me that not only is it that you shouldn't be a leader in the church, number one, but you're actually unrepentant. But all of the people that God used in the Bible, they were used because they were repentant.
Yeah, and I feel like it's a lot of concealment of sin in order to save face and to save reputation of a certain church as well. Like you do find a lot of massive churches trying to settle things under the rug, under the carpet, because they don't want things to come out. They don't want themselves to look a certain way. But the Bible's very clear. Paul talks about it. He talks about it in Judges, how when people come together, you sit and you make a decision, but there should be transparency. Like as a church, if I'm putting money towards God's work, I would like to know what my money being spent on. And some of the best churches are churches that literally put up their church finances on their website, quarterly finances.
Well, did you know that it's actually a legal
It's a
requirement
legal
if you're a
requirement.
charity?
If your church
Exactly.
isn't
If you're
doing that, you need to speak to your
registered church.
pastor.
Exactly. So it's
Because
the
where are
same
your
kind of
tithes
thing.
and offerings going?
They're lining the pockets.
Line in the pockets of
Because,
lawyers.
Don't be
Not
offended.
of the
offended.
temple keepers, not even for the pastor to like take home, but more of it is going towards like concealment, NDAs.
Yeah. NDAs, literally. But yeah, it's just very sad that we are more concerned about appearances than justice, when God is a God of justice and not a God of appearances. You know, he doesn't look at the outward appearance. He talks about that in the Bible all the time. He looks at the heart. He looks beyond appearances. So the fact that we have now chosen to prioritize appearances over justice or truth, it's just sad. It's just sad. Very sad.
Oh my gosh.
You know what? When you were talking, sorry, I just had to text you because I couldn't remember the name of the person. I don't think I should say their name because I think
Anna talked about him.
Okay.
Well, Anna messaged me about him.
Wait.
No, guys, please don't say.
You know what's funny?
Smart.
I had a conversation. I had a conversation about him with a leader, and the leader was telling me that there was something amiss with the person that obviously that we're talking about. And at the time I was like, yeah, whatever. I don't see it. And that the leader I was speaking to didn't personally know the guy in question. You've never even really met him. But
so now we know it's a guy.
Yeah, it's a guy, definitely a guy. But it was just really interesting because when he said it, and then obviously when everything came out, I was like, oh, you know, the spirit must be telling people about, you know, people's genuine intentions or what they're like. You can be screaming from the pulpit, you can be evangelizing, you could be apostle, prophet, whatever. But you know, at the end of the day, what is hidden will be revealed, even if you move to another country. I'm sure.
Even if you run away to America.
Even if you move to another country, whatever you do will come to light. That was so, you know, when you messaged me, Anna, about that, yeah. I had totally forgotten. I was like, oh my gosh, that's so true.
Like,
sorry, I have something I want to say.
Someone tweeted, where is blah blah blah, like a couple like last month, and it's like, yeah, where is he? Because he needs to answer for his crimes. This is what I hate, like no accountability. People just run away, no apology, no repentance, nothing. You're just leaving a whole bunch of victims to deal with what they're dealing with, and you're chilling with Chandler Moore in America. What's going on?
That is too much. Okay.
Hey, yo, that's it.
Okay, let's give Anna a second. I think what I find the most frustrating is, number one, there's actually lawlessness in the church at times, because oftentimes, for example, like God is just and God cares about victims. So for example, if let's say, I don't know, someone that was quarreling in the church and they got too serious, you as a church, your responsibility, if you're aware of it, is to alert the appropriate authorities. But oftentimes, and you know, actually, the Lord also tells us to follow the laws of our land and to respect the authority that's been placed above us. But it seems oftentimes the church just bypasses that. And with obviously the grace of God abounds, but that doesn't mean you don't discipline people. But I think oftentimes it's like, oh, we can't ever say anything out loud because then it's going to be out of our hands. Then we're going to have to abide by secular laws. But oftentimes it's like you're not even doing your due diligence to even protect people. You're not doing your due diligence to protect victims. You're not disciplining perpetrators. Yet you don't want people to go into the world and actually to speak to the authorities. Like, where do you leave certain people? But the reason why I even brought up that man isn't because of whatever. Is this idea of like, I feel like a lot of people project. because these part of like shout and bash ministry people, where every sermon is all about you as a Christian, why are you not picking up your cross? You know, you're there wearing Balenciaga. How dare you not be wearing the battered shoes of Christ and going to the wilderness to evangelize? Why is it that you have money, but you're not sowing all of your seeds? You're not preaching every day. You're not evangelizing every day. You're not dumping all your things and going into ministry. Like, their entire theology seems to be based on like tearing down, bashing, shouting, and almost guilt tripping Christians into doing what is right. And I'm like, bro, you're projecting, because you're talking about yourself and what you're not doing, because that's what it smells like. And the thing is, people love that kind of ministry. They love it. They love it. And it's almost like your sin is what's driving you towards God. That shouldn't be the case. It's your love of Christ that should drive you towards him, not you needing someone to shout at you and to tear you down and to tell you that you're rubbish, and to tell you that you have no sense, and to tell you that all you're doing is wrong for you to want to love God. And this brings me to this scripture. Because I'm sorry, you can't be shouting and sweating and preaching all of that and it has no impact in your heart. Stop. Receive your healing. I'm so sorry, but I just find it so. I find it so.
Like, I'm gonna show you, all right?
No, yeah, because I'm sorry, but if that's all you can preach, then no wonder people call you a bully. Like, no wonder you're domineering. No one. Okay, am I saying too much? But I just feel like when that's all someone does, it's reflective of their state of mind, and it's like, are you just deflecting anyway? In 2 Timothy 3, it says, but understand this, in the last days there will come times of difficulty, for people will be lovers of self, lovers of money, proud, arrogant, abusive, disobedient to their parents, ungrateful, unholy, heartless, unappeasable, slanderous, without self-control, brutal, not loving good, treacherous, reckless, swollen with conceit, lovers of pleasure rather than lovers of God, having the appearance of godliness but denying its power. Avoid such people. It's just that line for me. You can't be preaching about godliness and it's not impacting any area of your life, but you stay content in preaching about godliness because all you see is the wrong in other people. But that same power that you keep saying will transform and change other people, your heart is too hard to take that in. And how such a person can be allowed to be in a pulpit for the time that they're wearing, that just tells me that there's lawlessness and there's no accountability, and that needs to change. I said my 2 pence.
Yeah, man.
I don't know the man personally. And I should say, this content is not what did they say in front of Marvel movies? It does not resemble any persons alive or dead. Alive in Christ, amen.
Yeah, let's cap that with saying I'm not saying cap as in lies. I mean, like, finish on
God
top
is
of,
good.
because with, that let's also obviously pray for these people that they will see the light of their errors and see their ways. It's really weird because this episode feels like there's a lot of stuff that is in relation to abuse and manipulation and lack of accountability, because Mason Greenwood, you ruined everything. All right, you ruined that girl's life, and you ruined. No, it doesn't even matter if you ruined your own life. You ruined that girl's life.
Who's the footballer that kicked the cat? Because every time I hear
Kurt
Mason...
Zuma.
Oh, sorry. I
Kurt
thought that's who you were talking
Zuma
about.
gently prostrated his leg.
Do you know what? You don't know. There may have been some spirits.
I think you need to sit down and eat your food.
In the cat, you know what I mean?
I think you need to sit down and eat your food.
But
it may have been spirit-led.
You know what's funny? Anyone that well, to be frank, anyone that didn't have a pet, when they seen the video, or when I showed them the video, they were laughing. Like, they were actually laughing.
Can I say? I mean, I didn't see the video because I don't like watching animal abuse.
It wasn't
I didn't have
good,
a pet, but
it wasn't good. Like, what he did wasn't good, but I understood. Do you know what I mean? Cats can be so annoying.
I'm speechless. I'm absolutely speechless.
In West, I was telling my co-workers in Nigeria, they see cats as witches. So
why are you saying that all across the board as if Nigeria is one homogeneous country? Loads of people have cats.
They do in Nigeria?
Yeah.
I did not know.
And also in some religions, cats are prioritized, shall I say. And so they welcome cats into their homes and they'll look after them. And they also exist in Nigeria. So please, I'm sorry. Nah.
Anyways, back. Do you know the RSPCA are trying to sue him?
Why wouldn't they? These people don't even care about human rights, but it's animal rights they want to elevate
to human rights. Crazy. But yeah, the Mason Greenwood thing. That's another thing where a lack of accountability and I don't even know how to describe it. Where you're always being told yes, and you can just do what you want, and where you can always conceal and hide all the bad things, because that's what it seemed like Manchester United were doing, because apparently they knew about this allegedly, and they just continued on because he was doing great on the pitch. So anything that's off the pitch, they just excuse. The same way that preachers will be great on the pulpit, but off the pulpit, the stuff they be doing can never see the light of day. You know what I'm saying? And it was just making me think the lawlessness of the world is so much now in the church that it's actually really, really scary that you can't separate like what's going on in the world and what's going on in the church. We should be different and distinct, but it doesn't seem to be the case, which brings us full circle to obviously the missionary who was going to Ukraine and seeing the responses that people were talking about. You couldn't distinguish people who were Christian and who weren't Christian. The only way you can tell is anyone who was kind of positive towards it. But then, even then, you can't really assume that they were Christian to begin with. They might just think that this is a noble thing to do because you're helping. And it just feels like things are just getting more muddled up. There's no distinction. There's no hard line to distinguish us from people who essentially aren't Christian. There's not even a distinguishable features for, forget Christianity, just people who seem to be morally upstanding and people who aren't. Everything's just up in the air and up in balance. So yeah.
You know what? One thing that the crystal lovers have is accountability. Is because
the star sign.
Yeah, the star sign people, the stargazing people, if they catch a whiff of misconduct, they're going to air your laundry out on Twitter. They're going to find your mom, your dad, your great grandmother. They're going to look into your family history and see if any relatives are slave owners.
That's not in your life.
What'd you say?
They said they'll even find your dad. That's not in your life.
I'm telling you now, like they will find things that you didn't think existed. Honestly, they will find all sorts of things and they will air it out. I'm not saying what they do is right, especially the way they do it, because they will tear you down. God forbid you do something wrong. They will tear you down and your family members. No one in your house is going to have a job. But my thing is, how is it that non-Christians seem to have a stronger sense of justice than Christians when God advocates for? No, I mean, not. I don't mean in the act of what they do in terms of the actions they take, but that sense of justice for those who have been done wrong.
Right? Yeah, I know what you mean. I don't know. It's because it seems like somehow in the church we've been coddled into thinking when something goes wrong, there shouldn't be any sort of consequences, because obviously the first thing we talk about is grace, which means that a lot of people just get away with doing people wrong, but there's always consequences to your actions. You don't do something without consequences. There's serious consequences. Serious
the Bible says
I was waiting for you to say that.
Consequences.
So with that mindset, when something happens in the world, that they're always thinking, oh, but what's the other side? What do we think about this? Rather than just trying to find some sort of resolution to a problem, they're thinking, well, is it really a problem?
Yeah.
And whatever you allow, you enable. So yeah.
Wow. Whatever you allow, you enable. It's so interesting.
You when they say silence is violence. Silence is violence.
I feel like so much has happened in the past 3 months, and we're not even like one quarter done in this year.
Yeah.
Well, buckle up. It's going to be an interesting ride.
It's coming hard still. It's coming hard.
Talking the hardest.
No, that's not okay. Yeah, we need to end this right now. That's not what we're promoting. Raise your swords, and by that I mean the word of God.
And wear your helmets of salvation.
Come on. When was that? I wonder how that couple is doing,
I was wearing my helmet of salvation.
Yeah, I'll have to check if they're still together.
No, they definitely are, because if they aren't, it would, after the whole video she's done, even if she wanted to leave, sis has to stay.
You got no choice. Well, yeah, I think we've reached the end of this episode. Yes, guys, we are back. It's been a long 3 months, but here we are. I know some of you missed us. Yeah. Anything else you guys want to say?
There's loads more to talk about, so tune in next time.
There actually is a lot to talk about. Pay your taxes, pray for your leaders. What'd you say, Jure?
I said pay your taxes.
That's what I thought you said. Pay Caesar what he's owed. That's right. So pay Boris and Rishi.
Yeah, but
Rishi
Sunak. Whose face is on my money? It's Queen Elizabeth.
Can't you see?
Exactly. Who has a long legacy of being part of a family that championed colonialism. So that's what you pay her what she's owed. If
reparations. Sorry.
We can have to have a whole conversation about reparations, because I feel like the Caribbean countries waited until they landed and they were like, now we're going to talk to you face to face. So I can't wait to see that. But
I was waiting for you at the door.
Did you see the person that blamed it on Meghan, saying that it's because of Meghan that now they're asking for reparations? I said, are you okay?
Are you normal? Are you normal?
Are you normal?
Nah. You're not normal.
We're gonna have a whole conversation about reparations, whether it's even. I mean, a part of me is like, maybe Nigeria should ask for reparations, but I feel like it's just gonna line one man's pocket, and that's it. 50 billion pounds disappear. How? We don't know.
Snake ate it.
Hush
it's
puppy,
in a warehouse somewhere.
Hush puppy that's in jail. I'm sure it's probably gonna get a quarter of it somehow. Like
he's still running scams in jail.
Oh my gosh, yeah, we actually do need to do an episode on reparations.
Wait, how is that? Wait, sorry. You know what? A part of me admires the entrepreneurship. Black people in business, okay? Because that man, even while locked up, he's still making money.
Up. They won't let me out.
And you know how many hours we have in the day? 24 hours. So Hush Puppy is there still collecting cash that, he didn't work for in the penitentiary.
Word to Molly May,
And he's still making money. What are you doing? Was my question. What are you doing? You're out, you're free. What are you doing?
Giving glory to God.
How?
In my lifestyle.
Okay.
Whichever way it makes, whichever way you can sleep peacefully at night, you do what you need to do.
This is the first episode of 2022. Yeah, I don't know how you guys want to end this. We could just cut it.
Yeah,
New Year, so we can come up with something
Full
new,
stop.
or just go. So we'll see you next time, guys. Just peace, and follow us on our socials. Like, subscribe, all that good stuff. Twitter, Instagram, YouTube. If you're listening to this, we've got visuals as well, so you can always see our facial reactions as we're saying stuff.
A comment anywhere.
And if you disagree with our thoughts on what we've said, okay.
Yeah, that's your own personal problems, to be honest. You don't want to hear it. No.
Oh, is this what we're doing now? Okay, I can get with it. I can be on board. This is okay with me.
Peace and guidance. Bless.
Bye.